fully constraining your sketches is critically important if you want your model to be stable, easily modified, and to have subsequent items in the timeline work the way you expect them to. So mostly I wanted to talk about here today is the importance of fully constraining your model. Getting it constrained is critical to the stability of the model and being able to perform all of the operations we're going to do with our surface modeling. This model was sent to me by my follower Netanel, I think I'm saying that right, because he was having trouble trying to do the split body when he was trying to create the surface model of his headstock. Not exactly sure what he was getting, but I can show you that if I try to do it, this is how I received it from him. It's got an extra thing selected here, probably again. If I go try to do a split body on this, I want to split that body, the top surface or bottom surface, whichever way you look at that, and then I want to turn off my bodies and I want to select my outline of what it is that I want to do it. And you see right there we get an error, intersecting tool data. And the reason for that error is because when I selected this line over here, it grabbed that center line at the same time. So when I look at this model, I mean, as soon as you open it up, I can see where the problem lies, and that is in all of these blue lines, these orange construction lines, and all of these white dots. All of those represent unconstrained features. There's almost nothing in this model that is constrained. And I'm not picking on Netanel. I am just trying to reinforce the importance of constraints. And I mean, if you don't get the constraints in there, the model just won't work. So we're going to go through this now and redo this model in a way that makes it completely fully constrained when we're done. So I'm going to jump over here, this same model. So now this is what we want it to look like when we're done. All the dots are black, all the lines are black, and it's fully constrained. And now if we want to do the split body, we can. So I'll do a finished sketch on that and just show real quick. So we're going to extrude the sides of the headstock, and then we're going to extrude the top or the bottom, whichever, I guess it's really the bottom. And then we're going to do our split body. And our split body looks like this. And now see, we can select, turn off our bodies, turn that off, and we'll select our cutting edges here all the way around, and see it works. And then turn back on our bodies, and then we can go delete these like we would expect. Why isn't it selecting them? There we go. And then delete, and there we have our what we were trying to do that we were unable to do, but now we're able to do it because the model is fully constrained. So let's we'll go ahead and back up from there. And get back to sketch 16 was our sketch. And let's go ahead and edit the sketch. Okay, so what I've done here is I've deleted all of the geometry for the headstock that was defined in here. And what I've done is I've created a construction grid using construction lines that define my critical points for developing the geometry I want. So now we can reproduce the headstock he had, but Let's review. What I've done is I've defined from my top construction line to my bottom construction line, and I've set that to a value that is equal to how long I want my headstock to be from end to end. And then I've created a center construction line and made it horizontal, and I made it coincident to that top and bottom construction line. I've set the length of that top and bottom construction line to the width of the widest point. In this case, it's not really the widest point, but it's where I'm going to anchor the curve I have on the top that sets the widest point of that. I put a construction line from my center line to this vertical construction line. This vertical construction line indicates the point of, let's go over here and look at this one real quick, and let's back these up. So where he has this point, where this curve comes out and then this arc starts, so I've defined a point right there by intersecting this construction line with a vertical construction line. I put a construction line at the bottom, and I've dimensioned it to the point where I want that arc that's going to go from here to here to be. And I put a dimension in here to this line because that indicates the point from the top to where I want that arc to start, where I want that curvature to intersect. And I've set a dimension in here between this line and this line that indicates the length of that middle arc. And then I've set a dimension here to a point here at the end of this construction line that I already explained that. Yeah, that's the end of that arc up there. Okay, so that kind of lays out my grid. Just to be clear, normally when I'm modeling, this goes on to some lines that are projected in from the fretboard, and that fretboard is normally fully dimensioned before I get here, so anchoring it to that fully locks this into place. This is just for demonstration purposes, so I took this center point right here and I put a fixed constraint on it, just to give myself a point to lock all this down so that it can't move. So now that I have this construction geometry here, I can recreate the design that he had. So we're going to do a series of 3-point arcs. We want one right here that curves out this way, and I'm locking that in so it becomes tangent with the top, and then I want a 3-point arc from there to here that comes in the other way, and it wants to put a tangency there, but I don't want a tangency there, so I'm going to try to make it so it doesn't have one. And then we want to put some dimensions on there. I highly recommend constraining these as you go. Don't do sketch, and then come back and try to constrain them. It's much easier to constrain them as you go. So we're going to come in here and we're going to put a radius on this. I believe his radius on that was 15.729. And then I'm going to put a radius on this one. And I believe his radius on that was 61.695. And then I want to put a tangency between those two, and that fully constrains it. Now I can move on without worrying about coming back later and trying to get everything constrained. It's much easier to do it as you go. So now we need an arc here for that inside arc that he had. So 3-point arc. Oops. 3-point arc. Come on. And we're going to take it from this point down to that point we defined right there and lay it in here. And then we're going to put a dimension on that. he had a dimension of 495.009. And then he had a conic curve down here at the bottom to define the top geometry. So let's grab that conic curve, and that conic curve went from the end of that arc to the center point at the bottom, and it's anchored into this far outside corner like that. And honestly, I don't know what his radius was on this, but I don't want to set that. What I want to do is and he didn't do this, and maybe he doesn't want to do this, but what I did was I came in with a tangency then on this to make it a nice clean arc, and that tangency, oops, why didn't it let me do that? It should have let me do that. Here, let's delete that. I must have locked something in. I want to get this in here in a way that it is not constrained. I'm going to go from here to here to here, and I'm going to deliberately distort this. Yeah, it's constraining, and I don't want it to. It didn't do this to me before, so what I want is a nice tangency on that, and it might be this. Let me delete that. That didn't do it. That wasn't even part of it. So anyway, you play with that. I would have hoped I could put a tangency on that, but I seem to be having difficulty with it. And I'm not sure why. So, but I don't want to. The real point here is that we are fully constrained at this point. So now we can create our mirror and create it across. We select all of our pieces. Oops, nope, I'm missing one. I forgot this other arch up here. We got to put one more 3-point arc that goes from here to that point right there. And I'm putting it so that it has a tangency at the top, right there. And then I'm going to go put a dimension on it for its radius. Oops, I'm not sure what it grabbed there. Come on. Nope, I guess I want to take that off of there. Because I want to get his radius in there. If it were me, I would use the tangencies instead of the radius if that's what I had to choose from. Doggone it, I keep getting that other line selected somehow. Alright, let's just put it up here. And he had a radius of 33.2. It's tiny writing, I can't see it. 282. 33.282. 33.282. Okay, and then I accidentally deleted this tangency here, so let's put it back. Okay, so we're fully constrained. We got our full model. We're going to mirror that now to finish it. I'm going to select all of our pieces. 3, 4, 5. What do we got? I don't like my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the mirror line is our center line, and click OK, and there's our full top. Our headstock, I mean. Now, with this fully constrained the way it is, this construction grid we use now, we can come in here and change. Well, we can change anything in here, really, not just the construction grid. If we want to make this bigger, we just come and change this to say 185, and boom. We can undo that. We can change our width. We can change any of these dimensions on this construction grid, and we can also change these radiuses to whatever we want, to create the shape we want. So I hope all that makes sense on all that. So now that we have this, we can go out and prove to ourselves that this works. We did break this sketch because of a projection, so we want to come in and fix that projection. We're going to say manage lost projections and click on point 1, click on relink, select that point and click OK and finish that sketch, and we save that, and then we can go ahead and do our extrudes. Because we redrew everything, we lost our profile, so that's why we don't do it. So we're going to extrude our sides up now. To object, it still remembers our point for our object, which is right there. Let's turn our bodies on so we can see it. And then the second one doesn't look like it's broken, so we did a two-sided extrude on that single line on that other sketch and created our top, and then we did our split body, and here we'll just redo it. So we selected this, and this is our bodies. Our splitting tools, we turn off this, and now you can see our splitting tool will work. This is where it broke before, where we selected this line, and then when we selected this line, it grabbed that middle line because the constraints were messed up. But now we're able to easily follow this around and grab exactly what we want and cut it. Turn our bodies back on, and I already have the delete in the timeline, and we have what we were looking for. So that's it. So the moral of the story is constrain, constrain, constrain. Fully constrain your sketch. Constrain it as you go. It'll be much easier than trying to go back and try to constrain things after the fact. It can be incredibly difficult to go back and try to constrain things after the fact. So if you can, constrain as you go. Limit how much stuff you put in one sketch. Try to limit the things in the one sketch to things that that apply to, not too many downstream things in the timeline. And then lastly, use that construction grid. Set up a framework to work within that lets you get where you want to go, and fully constrain that as well, and you should do well. That's it for this episode. Hope it was helpful. If you like what you're seeing, as usual, like and subscribe, and happy constraining. See you down the road.